I am so blessed to have gotten full rides to two schools during my initial undergraduate education. And I wanted to make this video not to brag about it or anything, but really to give some insights to hopefully help students who are looking at colleges right now, trying to get scholarships, as they are trying to figure out how they're going to pay for things and increase the scholarships that they earn to pay their tuition and everything. So I got full ride scholarships to two schools. One is called Arizona State University in Tempe, Arizona, and then the other is called Western Washington University in Bellingham, Washington. They're both good schools, and I ended up deciding to go to Western Washington University for a number of reasons, and I'm really glad that I went there. But they both would have been really good options. The way it worked out is that I got good scholarship options at a lot of the schools that I applied to. I think I applied to about 10 schools in Washington and several other West Coast states of the United States. And I was debating which ones to go to as I was getting admissions acceptance offers in the mail, which was really exciting. I ended up getting a really exciting couple of letters from Arizona State University. The first was that I got awarded a President's Scholarship, which was really good. I think it covered most of the tuition, not quite all of it, but I would say probably 2/3 of it. And then later I got an even more exciting letter that said, Daniel, you are a National Hispanic Recognition Program scholar, so we're going to go ahead and give you the full ride, which was like really awesome. So it was literally out-of-state tuition covered for my whole entire degree program, and then a little bit of funding to attend conferences as well. So that was crazy. So I was like blown away by that. That was so awesome. And I was heavily considering ASU. And then for other reasons, I had kind of hoped to go to Western Washington University because I wanted to do philosophy and they have some good philosophers there. And I liked the campus a lot. So I like Arizona a lot too. So I was debating, I was really thinking what is a good option. And I ended up emailing Western for just some extra money, hopefully. I literally told them, hey, ASU gave me this full ride tuition offer and you all gave me some really good scholarships. Just wanted to mention that I do want to come here. If you can match it or anything, like that would be cool. And obviously that's kind of absurd, right? But I was like, whatever, like YOLO, might as well just go for it. And they basically added another scholarship that ended up getting to that full tuition reduction. So I ended up being full ride at both, which was super cool, right? So that was awesome. For ASU, the way that one worked is that when I had taken the PSAT in high school, I forget what year in high school, I ended up doing really well. I scored in the top 2% of all Hispanic test takers, which I was really surprised and happy about because I didn't study at all for the PSAT. I didn't know anything about scholarships or anything, so I actually didn't realize how important it was. In fact, that gets me to my first piece of advice. Do really well on all your standardized tests in high school. Do the best that you possibly can and study a lot because it can move the needle a ton in terms of the scholarships that you get. So for example, at least when I applied to Arizona State University, if you're a national merit scholar on how well you do on your standardized tests, then you automatically get a full ride. That's crazy. And ASU is one of the only schools that also does the recognition for what I did, where since I got in the top 2% of Hispanic test takers on the PSAT, the College Board designated me as a National Hispanic Recognition Program scholar, which is really cool. And ASU, again, is one of the only schools that recognizes that as well. If you're a National Hispanic Recognition Program scholar, then at least at the time I applied, ASU will give you a full ride. So it's crazy. Like, really bring your A game on those standardized tests because I did not know how much they matter, but they really do. They can literally save you like tens and maybe, depending on where you go, like $100,000 if you do really well on it. It's actually crazy how much money can go into doing well on those exams. So my first piece of advice, do really well on your standardized tests in high school, because it actually does matter. It seems like, oh, it's not a big deal. Actually, no, it matters. Do a great job. So that wasn't the only thing that made me a competitive student going into college, but that was the biggest thing in getting me that full ride at Arizona State University. So that was ginormous. And then let's go to Western though, because they didn't give me a full ride for the National Hispanic Recognition Program Scholar designation, but they took that into account, and then my overall package was pretty good. So I had done well in high school. My GPA was like 3.9. I also did a program in Washington State called Running Start, where you can do your junior and senior years of high school at a local community college. The state actually pays for that education, so you don't have to pay anything during that time. So I got an associate's for basically free. I only paid for books, some fees, things like that, which added up to maybe $1,000 over those 2 years. That was awesome. So I came in, had a 3.9 high school GPA, an associate's at 18 years old, and a bunch of other leadership things that made me a compelling applicant. So they recognized that with, I think, like 2/3 of my tuition paid for scholarships, which was cool. And then another piece of advice is to actually consider reaching out to your financial aid offices and let them know if you really want to go there and what you've gotten from other schools. I didn't expect it to work as well as it did for me, but me reaching out to Western and telling them, hey, I got this full ride offer at ASU. I want to come to Western. Is there anything you can do to come close to or match that? Of course, you have to say it tactfully and gracefully, right? You can't just be like, give me more money. But it actually worked for me, and that was awesome. So you never know, and they might say no too, but they might be like, you know what, yeah, Daniel's cool, you're cool, maybe we can add an extra little bit, which was awesome. And in my case, they actually added a scholarship that was pretty competitive that I would have had to apply for and go through this whole process. It's called the Multicultural Achievement Program Scholarship, where typically you have to do a ton of sustained leadership experience in high school in multicultural diversity, inclusion, awareness. But I didn't even have to apply for that program. Me emailing them just made them decide to go ahead and add that to my profile, which ended up being cool because during my career there, I often attended Multicultural Achievement Program scholarship dinners with other winners of that scholarship. So it ended up being like a really cool experience just because I emailed and said, hey, what can we do here? What can you match it? So definitely reach out if you're a competitive student overall, for sure. So I guess circling back, 2 pieces of advice so far. 1, do really well on your standardized tests in high school because it actually matters for scholarships. 2, don't be afraid to reach out and see what financial aid offices can do to entice you to come to their school as well. And then 3, depending on where you're at, whether you're really early in your high school career or later, there may be more or less things you can do. Let's say you're wrapping up your junior year, you're already applying to colleges, or maybe you already did a little bit. That is a lot harder to make big changes than it is if you're a freshman. But there are still some things you can do. Let's say you're a junior, right? And you are, whatever your GPA and all of your leadership things are already set. You can't change them. Even if you don't get scholarships that are very competitive going into college, you can absolutely apply to scholarships throughout your college career. So for me, I like applying to scholarships. So I continued doing it despite even though I had that full tuition, full ride scholarship, which was really cool. But I just wanted to see if I could get more money. And sometimes I wanted to buy a cool Lego set. And I was like, well, it would be nice to have some more money so I could do that. And then, of course, all the other academic things like books and paying for my car, things like that. So I applied to a lot more scholarships even during my career. I didn't get all of them, but I got a number of them. So even if you don't go into college with strong scholarships, you can absolutely apply to way more during your college career, and it can add up to a significant amount of money. That's if you're already in the process of applying. But if you're a freshman in high school, you can do a lot because you have a lot of time to build your portfolio into something compelling. And when I say portfolio, I don't mean necessarily a website or a list of different art things, like sometimes people mean portfolio in the art world. What I mean is a compelling profile that says, yes, I am a good applicant for your college. So you want to maintain really high grades, because sometimes admissions committees say that they look at applicants holistically. They look at different elements in a holistic way, which is cool, but really high grades matter. No matter what anyone says, high grades actually matter a lot. High grades are a necessary but not sufficient condition for getting good scholarships, getting into good schools. What I mean by that is you can't really get into these schools and get these scholarships without high grades, but having those high grades alone is not on its own going to guarantee admission to these scholarships or good schools, because you need those high grades, but you need other things as well to make for a compelling profile. So you want high grades for sure. That needs to be a really top priority, but you also need to build leadership experience. You need to do interesting things. Hobbies that you have, if you take them seriously and maybe even make some content about your hobbies, that can be a cool leadership experience that also ends up being fun for you. You want to do really well on your standardized tests, of course, like I mentioned. And the more you can do in terms of diversity, equity, inclusion, multicultural awareness, that also helps. If you're helping underprivileged, underserved, underrepresented minority populations in, let's say, healthcare or therapy or even recreation, something, that can be really cool. And you end up enjoying it a lot. So for me, for example, I remember doing a community service experience with underrepresented minority, low-income people. And I thought, honestly, pretty selfishly at the time, I was like, oh, I'm just going to do this for a few months, build my resume. But I ended up loving it, and I did it for 3 years. It ended up being a really valuable experience. Of course, it looked really good on my profile, but I did it because I was intrinsically interested in it. And hopefully that is something that can develop in you, a love for serving others, and that can end up being really beneficial as well. So there's some different insights as you're thinking about getting scholarships if you want to try to secure a full ride scholarship to your undergraduate college. Let me know if you have any questions, and thanks for watching.